Welcome to It's Your Life, Just Get It Done Now, with hosts Joyce Wheeler and Krista Nelson, who will empower you to live a happy, healthy, natural life. You're listening to Wolf Spirit Radio.
Welcome, everyone. This is It's Your Life, Live It to the Fullest. I am your host, Joyce Wheeler, and today is Friday, June 3rd, 2016. You're listening to Wolf Spirit Radio and Hacky Shack Radio. Please remember that we're listener-sponsored, so click that button and show us some love. Tonight, my guest is Dr. Cammy Dehler, and she is a naturopathic doctor with a family practice in Covington, Louisiana. Originally, she was born and raised in Oregon, where she attended Oregon State University and studied nutrition science. She went on to receive her doctorate in medicine from the National College of Naturopaths Medicine in Oregon. In 2003, she moved to Louisiana and started her practice. Suffering with a chronic skin condition, her knowledge enabled her to heal naturally. In part, this led her to desire to share her knowledge with the rest of the world. Dr. Cammy is the mother of 7 healthy children who has been treating them with natural medicine since they were born. Dr. Cammy, welcome to the show.
Hi. It's Cammy, right? K-A-M-I.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, Dr. Cammy with a K.
Yes.
So, Dr. Cammy, you were born and raised in Oregon?
Yes.
And so when you were there, obviously you had this passion at that point for dealing with things naturally, or did that come later in life?
Yeah, I started studying nutrition and started asking myself the question, thinking about lifestyles and how that relates to disease and things like that, and just the diets that people were eating and medicine and how things that people were eating in the hospital and things like that weren't necessarily leading to healing of disease. And so I started getting very interested in disease and nutrition and how those relate. And that kind of led me into studying the nutrition science at my undergraduate. And then I found out about naturopathic medicine, which the philosophy really made sense to me because it was something where you were asking the question, what's the root cause of what's going on? Why am I having this symptom and what does it mean? And so I really, that inspired me and made me want to study more. And so I went on to get that doctorate. And Oregon natural medicine is very, I guess you would say it's more mainstream or more known about. So there's more naturopaths, practicing over there. And, it's just more of a common thing.
Okay, you had mentioned that you were learning about the food that they served in hospitals and food that people were eating. Let's talk about that. What's the problem with the food being served in hospitals?
Yeah. Well, nutrition is a very broad topic, but basically you can study so much that you come to the conclusion that, wow, everything kind of isn't good for me, and some things can be good for me. And so you got to ask the question, well, what's the underlying, or what's the main word here on nutrition? But I would say variety, moderation, getting things as close to their natural state, and really just eating food that's live food. So when you do all this processing and all these, adding a lot of chemicals and doing all these things to the food, it starts to make the food not have as much value in your body and isn't going to feed the cells and get all the nutrition to the cells like you need for your healthiest state.
So at what age did you decide that you wanted to get involved with this?
Well, I actually went back to college when I was in my early 20s to study nutrition. Before this, I was kind of doing a lot of exercise type training and things like that, and was always into nutrition, but I never figured it out as far as what path I wanted to be on with my studies until a little later on in life.
So was this lifestyle that your whole family led?
Well, this was before I was married or had children, and I started to get more into that way of that lifestyle and that way of eating. But it's a slow transition. My husband says now, changing your diet's like steering a big ship. He said, you don't want to make these quick turns. It's just a slow turning process. And I agree. It's like something where, if you try to change your lifestyle too fast, you could make your body sick. So you want to integrate the healthy things slowly and just start to move more toward that way of eating.
Right. When I was talking about your family, I meant, the family you grew up with.
The family I grew up with, no. were not into healthy or anything. No. This was a later on, conversion toward that in my life.
So what kind of environment did you grow up in your household, in your family, with your parents? And do you have siblings?
Yes, I have, a couple siblings, 2 sisters, and, I guess just like my dad drank a ton of Coke, and we ate a lot of like cold cereal type, my mom was very creative, and she made a lot of like fancy food and fancy desserts and things like that, but we definitely weren't like necessarily health oriented. My mom and dad are actually more health oriented now than they ever have been.
So then what actually steered you into this direction with wanting to know more about food and
That's an interesting question. It's kind of funny because I think it's really, my mom was one of those yo-yo dieter people. and so she really was into food in an interesting way. But through that, I just came to the conclusion that it really isn't necessarily about the whole yo-yo dieting thing. It's more about how you feel inside and the quality of your life and how food makes you feel than it is like about, trying to control it all.
Right. So then you went in ahead and you studied nutrition, and then you decided to go on to
you can say it naturopathic or naturopathic. They say it both ways in the college or at school.
So how far in between your nutrition, how many years or months or what was it that before you decided to go back to school to be a naturopathic doctor?
Oh, well, basically to go to the naturopathic school, it's a doctorate degree, so it requires you to have an undergraduate, degree. And so I actually went to the naturopathic school right after I got done, with my undergraduate studies in nutrition science. And I went straight to naturopathic school from there.
So what is a naturopathic doctor? So
naturopathic medicine is, I would say, kind of like a general family doctor, except for the philosophy is looking at getting to the root of the problem and bringing the body back into balance. So if you look at, say you see smoke, you go, okay, there must be possibly a fire or some underlying reason of why this is happening. So it's looking at the root causes, and then it's using natural therapies such as botanical medicine, herbal medicine, essential oil medicine, homeopathic medicine to bring the body back into balance and get the body to respond, to start to heal itself. And looking at, of course, nutrition and all of that, and along with that. And you're really trying to minimize side effects while you're doing this. So, a lot of the botanicals and a lot of that type of medicine doesn't have a lot of side effects. It's like almost like food itself. So it's working with the body to restore balance.
So it's basically enhancing the normal process that the body would go through to heal itself. Is that correct?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about what exactly you do at your office here in Louisiana. I mean, I've been to you. I know what you do, but some other people might not know what you do. I'd like to talk about the device that you use.
Oh, yes. Okay. So it's pretty much a family practice. I see everything from newborn babies to, children with allergies, any kind of common cold. I see adults with all kinds of chronic or acute illnesses, so headaches and fibromyalgia and irritable bowel syndrome. Pretty much, you name it. I do a lot of those, and as I had said, I had healed my own self of, actually it was eczema. I had it ever since I was young and was able to use natural medicine to restore my skin to it's perfect now. But so I see everybody. And then as far as the testing that I do, I used to do a lot of different testing with all kinds of different things in Oregon with like blood work, and because I practiced in Oregon for a while too. And I did all kinds of different tests, but I ran across, this was later in Louisiana, this testing that I do now that shows us a whole picture of what I would like to see in the office while the person is there. And it's based on, it's called Zyto, or it's called a galvanic skin test. And it's based on heat coming off your skin and frequencies in the computer. So the computer it's a software program that several doctors designed, and everything's assigned a frequency. So your organs, hormones, chemicals, nutrient deficiencies, toxicities, all of these things are assigned a frequency, and when it measures the heat against the frequencies, it'll show us the things that are out of balance in your body.
Right. It's kind of a neat little gadget because it looks like a mouse.
Yes.
Like a mouse. It's like a mouse that fits to your hand. So
yes.
You just put your hand on top of it, and it's really actually amazing, and it just really scans your body. And
yeah, you describe it like when you swipe your cell phone, and if you put on a glove, you know how it won't work? So it's actually putting your hand on this device that senses the heat coming off the skin, but it's very subtle.
Right, and it's actually very amazing because I remember when Randy went to you, and you said, this is really weird. Turkey's coming up in nitrate. I don't know if you remember that or not. You see so many people, and we're like, oh, the turkey bacon that we eat. It's the only thing we eat that's not organic, and it has nitrates in it.
Yeah.
So that's just to tell you how sensitive this machine is to pick something like that up.
Right. Yeah, because it can tell different food allergies too, and different things that you might be sensitive to, different organ systems that are out of balance. Like I said, if your hormones are off, all kinds of different things.
Right. Now, you said you had eczema. My understanding of eczema is because the skin will actually detox the body. So my understanding of anything related to skin issues is related to the gut bacteria. Yes?
That is definitely one of the components. Your skin is basically a reflection of what's going on inside of your body. So it being one of your big elimination organs, there are several elimination organs. One of your biggest elimination organs is your digestive system. So that's how you get out a lot of and our bodies are designed to really eliminate and get rid of toxins. But when those other organ systems get imbalanced or backed up, so to speak, like your liver, your digestive system, your lymphatic system, all the different organs that are supposed to keep you healthy and running, a filter in your body and keeping everything cleaned out. As those get toxic or backed up, you'll start to see that manifest in the skin. And, your immune system is actually, your digestive system is one of your biggest areas that your immune system works. So if the digestive system is off, it ends up affecting your absorption. It ends up affecting so many different things, aspects of other parts of your body.
My understanding is that 80% of our immune system is located in our gut.
Yes, you are correct.
Right. So that's why. And I also understand that a lot of the health issues that we deal with, if we start with straightening out the gut bacteria and then go from there, our chances of becoming healthy are a lot higher. Is that correct?
Definitely. And that's what I like to say usually is the root of health is in your gut. So that's like the big area. If your gut's happy, a lot of times everything else is happy.
Everything else just kind of falls into place.
Yep.
So what can we do to keep our and what it is it's that gut microbiome, the healthy
Yes.
gut bacteria. What are some things that we could do to keep that gut bacteria healthy?
Yeah, it depends on what's going on. So the first thing we'll start with is what we talked about earlier, is diet. So obviously, like we talked about, the more pure foods and the less toxic foods, as far as like white sugar and a lot of processed foods and things like that, are going to alter things in your digestive tract. The other thing is keeping that good bacteria healthy. You can do that through the diet with cultured food, so things like yogurt, kefir. If people haven't heard of that, it's like a cultured probiotic drink, usually made with milk, or you can make a water kefir. Kombucha is another one that's a cultured drink, basically. And sauerkraut, good old-fashioned sauerkraut. We don't have this in our diets as much anymore, so a lot of times we would recommend a probiotic. And the other thing that happens is, and probiotic would be a supplement that you would get from a health food store. The other thing that happens is all the different things that we are taking in. So when you have a course of antibiotics, it kills off all the good bacteria in there, and so you would need to replace the good bacteria. Even chlorine in the drinking water can kill off the good bacteria in your gut, or certain medications. So a lot of times, if you're not getting that in your diet, putting in that good bacteria would be a good thing. The other thing that happens is you'll get other insults that are causing problems and creating a situation in your digestive tract, like whether it be parasites or whether it be a yeast overgrowth. And a yeast overgrowth happens a lot of times when you have heavy metals in your body, and you would get that from like vaccinations or heavy, like the mercury fillings, the silver fillings that you would have in the mouth. Sometimes what will happen is your body will create yeast to protect itself from the heavy metals, and so you can end up with that imbalance going on in the gut. So the issues can go kind of deep, but on a simple level, just dietary recommendations is one of the biggest things, and then those probiotics that we talked about. Now, if there's irritable bowel going on or some other, deeper thing, there's going to have to be some repair done to the gut, and you do that in different ways.
Right. So with your eczema, what was your protocol to eliminate that?
Yeah, that was interesting because that was kind of like through school and just, experimental stuff on myself. So I think if I would have had the tools that I have today, I was kind of doing this on my own. If I would have had some of the tools I have today, or someone else, another doctor helping me, I probably could have sped up the process. But really it was about healing my liver was a big part of it. And then learning some of the things that could be triggers. Like there's a couple things I still avoid because it would like put my skin into a bad place, and that is like Tide laundry soap and MSG. So that's my personal triggers as far as my skin, and I learned about that. But ultimately just healing my digestion and my liver was a big part. And the liver and the skin really go together as well. And if you have liver issues, a lot of times you'll have extra irritability, you could have constipation, you could have skin issues. Those are some of the signs of liver toxicity, or even like to the point of like fatty liver and things like that.
Right. So, like, what are some signs that you have gut issues? And I'm sure that's probably extensive. But what are some signs?
Yeah, but I mean, the typical, the normal stuff would be irregular bowel movements or not having bowel movements, chronic gas or constipation, diarrhea, any kind of reflux. Those would be the simple ones of knowing that there were gut issues going on, but chronic gut issues can lead to even arthritis, can lead to chronic allergies. So sometimes it's more subtle and you don't even really know that it's stemming from the gut, but it is.
So what should we be tending to our gut bacteria on a daily basis, on a weekly basis?
The thing about the thing about the gut bacteria is it doesn't store in your body. So you basically do need to put the good probiotics in there every day, whether it's from food or supplement.
So, for instance, you mentioned kombucha. So I brew kombucha.
Okay.
So, how much should I drink every day?
That would depend, I guess, on each individual person. That's one thing about naturopathic medicine too, is really each individual person is totally different. So they're going to respond to it differently. But if you're just starting out to try that drink, I would only recommend doing a very small amount, maybe like eighth of a cup or a fourth of a cup, or if you're giving it to kids for the first time. But if you're, you've been drinking it for a while, you can even drink it to just your cravings. Now, I say that, but you do kind of have to be careful, because if you do have an overabundance of yeast in your body, you can actually sort of start, it works the opposite effect with kombucha, where you can actually sort of start feeding it if you already have way too much in your body. So you have to do it in small amounts, and also probably do other things to get rid of the yeast.
Well, how would you know there was a yeast problem?
Yeah, the yeast problems can cause all kinds of, different symptoms. And one of the big symptoms with yeast is fatigue and like fuzzy headedness, like just not being able to think. Some of the yeast symptoms can be the skin rashes, mood issues and things. I mean, I know that sounds like there's a lot of things that can cause those symptoms,
Right.
But excuse me. If you have a history though of yeast, especially a history of antibiotic use, or chronic yeast infections or anything like that, that's for sure a telltale sign. But when I talk about yeast, I'm not talking about you having to have a yeast infection per se. It's more going to be just subtle, an overgrowth of yeast in your gut, basically.
Well, I heard one of the signs is, like your stomach will blow out.
Oh yeah, that's definitely one of the big signs.
So, maybe somebody who's like eating normally and is thin, and then all of a sudden their stomach kind of bloats out, that could be a sign of a abundance of yeast.
Yes, for sure.
Okay. All right. Let's go back to the liver. We were talking about the liver. There's various functions for the liver.
Yeah, the liver is actually one of my grow back. So I love it because it regenerates and it can grow new cells and new tissue. But the liver has a lot of functions in your body. It really, it basically is associated with how your thyroid is running. It's associated with how your blood sugar is doing. It's the organ that has to take care of all the chemicals in the environment. And it works like, if you think of like a car filter or something, of keeping the oil clean, it's like keeping the blood clean in your body. So your liver has a big job. And the other thing the liver does is it conjugates all the hormones and it breaks down the cholesterol. So the way I see it manifest in my practice, if people have liver issues, in females, a lot of times it'll manifest with the hormonal issues, and in males, a lot of times it'll manifest with like the cholesterol or those kinds of things. So it's interesting how that breaks down, but the liver has a big job.
Right. Now, the liver, as you were talking about, helps with the hormones.
Yes.
So what can we do to keep our hormones in check?
Yeah, that's a tough one, because there's two things that I see big, and that is, one is the liver's ability to conjugate the hormones. So what happens is people end up with an estrogen dominance, and it's females and males that this is happening in, where we're getting a lot of extra estrogen in the environment, and the liver is not able to handle it, and so it's causing this estrogen dominance phenomenon, doing a lot of different things. But in males, it can even make them have breasts and do things with their moods. And then with women, It manifests with weight gain, with the whole hormonal moody type stuff, cravings like sugar cravings, those kinds of things. So getting the liver functioning properly has a big part in playing in straightening out your hormones. Now, another thing though that is affecting the hormones in a big way is stress. And for women, it weakens the adrenal glands, and then you see a lot of people going through like menopausal symptoms and that kind of thing, and it's because their adrenal glands from long-term stress are supposed to be doing the job of taking care of the hormones to a certain extent along with the liver, and when you have this long-term stress, it ends up creating a problem and causing a lot of the menopausal type symptoms. Now with men, you'll see the low testosterone when they start getting that same thing, which is their adrenal glands are taxed and they've been stressing for a long time, and it can start lowering testosterone levels.
So these menopausal symptoms, are they happening in women who aren't at that point in their lives to where they should be going through menopause?
Yeah, earlier and earlier, really. And I'm seeing a lot of that. So balancing the hormones and cleaning up the liver is a big part of helping that problem.
So how young are you seeing these females experiencing this?
30s, in their 30s.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, and you had mentioned the fact that we're bombarded by estrogen in our environment. So what are some ways that we're coming in contact with estrogen that we might not know? Yeah,
a few of the different ways. One that people wouldn't probably think about is the little plug-ins, those they make the rooms smell good, but they actually are hormone disruptors and cause estrogen imbalance. And another one is just environmental. There's some things we have no control over, but environmentally, just gasoline and fuel, exhaust. And then another one is in our meats, the way that the hormones in the if you're not eating organic or grass-fed meats, you're getting more estrogens. Another one is our water bottles. People get a lot of estrogen from plastics, and so if they're using just nothing but water bottles, the plastic water bottles, and especially if they've been like sitting out in the heat and they start to heat up, they'll actually get the estrogens into the water.
Now, is that due to the BPAs?
Yes, and plastics.
Right.
Most water bottles that are just like the standard are made with a certain type of, they're not the BPA-free plastic or anything.
Right. Well, I think the other problem too with drinking out of the water bottles, there's a number of them. The first one being that I know one thing I was guilty of is using the bottle over and over and over again.
Right, yes. That starts to break down and they're just cheap plastics, and yeah, you start to get a lot of that. You're drinking that.
And then another thing too is we don't know how long they've been sitting on the shelf.
Well, I know.
Or where were they before that?
Right.
It's my husband the other day went to grab a bottle of water off the shelf at the store, and I said, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm getting water. I like the bottled water." I said, "You don't know how long that's been sitting there." You have Berkey at home. You have BPA-free water bottles that are, what are they, stainless steel?
Yeah.
He bought for water, and he's buying bottled water, and he knows this.
It's hard it's hard because when you're out, a lot of times you just want to grab something.
Right, it's a convenience.
Yes, for sure.
Here, so, I could just go ahead and do that. And, also the, glyphosate, which is the main ingredient in Roundup.
Right. Yes, for sure.
Big hormone disruptor.
And unfortunately, you guys, this is not good information. I mean, it's good information, but it's kind of depressing information, is they're actually putting in the soy, they genetically modify it, so they're actually breeding Roundup into the gene of our food. And then the wheat. So this is another thing. If you're not getting a certain, like organic or wheat from another country. In this country, a lot of times they're actually dumping a bunch of chemicals on it right before they harvest it, cause it cuts down on, their machinery. It's like it cuts down on the, expenses, and also, causes it to die real fast so they have a better harvest next time. So the chemical companies, I guess, have convinced the farmers this is a good thing to do, but then we're ingesting all this, so it's not good.
And, I just heard recently Jeffrey Smith was saying that glyphosate lasts in the ground for 22 years.
Right.
And the thing is too, is that people who are using Roundup, I mean, even if we're not, and our neighbors using Roundup, that's being carried airborne. So.
Oh, I know. So we're all getting it all the time. So we all need a lot of help for our livers and to constantly be cleaning them out.
Well, that was the next question I was going to ask is that, what's the solution? We're being bombarded by the glyphosate. So how can we deal with that so our bodies don't have an overload of these hormones?
Yeah, I think that just in general, like you do need to keep the liver healthy, and you can do that pretty simply with a few different herbs. You can drink herbs as teas. You can also ingest them in capsules. Some of the ones that come to mind for the liver are dandelion. I mean, you've probably heard of milk thistle.
That's what I take.
Yellow dock. Another good one for females is red raspberry, because that's a real good one to keep the liver happy and to and as a tea it's good too. Red raspberry and nettles is a really good tea that's really good for the liver.
Nettles
so Sorry.
I think I'm digging the red raspberry a little bit better. It sounds like it has a better taste because nettles, it's good for you.
Yeah, it kind of tastes like grass.
I don't even know if that's how I would describe it, but the stuff is nasty tasting.
Yeah, so, I think preventatively though, just in the world that we're living in right now, we really do need to just, keep the liver healthy, because we're always having to process a lot of chemicals just in our daily lives.
So that's our biggest thing, is that we want to make sure to attend to our liver.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, so what about detoxing?
Yes.
I had talked to you when I saw you recently that we use the foot bath ionizer, which detoxes the whole body. But some people might not have access to that. So what are some things that people can do to detox that liver, and how often should they do it?
Yeah, as far as the liver is concerned, a good time to cleanse the liver is during the spring. And, Louisiana is kind of different because we kind of have interesting seasons. So, so it's not like you have to do it in the spring, but the spring is a good time for a liver cleanse. And I would definitely say at least twice a year, a good liver cleanse. But the thing is, like, you have to kind of be careful, because if you just start doing random cleanses, you may actually end up making yourself sicker before you get better. And there's kind of a law or rule of healing where things can get a little worse before you get better. If you want to think of it like this, like you have a room that you're going to organize and you're going to pull everything out of your closets. Well, when you do that, you're going to have a big pile of stuff in the middle of your room, and you got to put it all back. So sometimes when you start the process of detoxing, you're actually pulling everything out of the room, and then you're like, oh gosh, I feel sick, I feel tired, I should stop this. But no, then you're just like sitting there with the pile in your room and you haven't picked it up. So that's not good. So if you start,
isn't that a sign of detoxing though? I mean, doesn't that happen sometimes when?
Yes, that's what I was saying is it's a sign of it getting worse before it gets better. It can be a sign that your body's just detoxing. So I'm just saying you need to stick with it, but also you kind of you need a little guidance, probably to know which pathways you should start with. And I mean, there's general rules you can kind of follow where, like, say you're not going to the bathroom, you're not having a regular bowel movement or regular bowel movements every day. You probably need to start there with the colon, because if you start cleansing out your lymphatic system or your liver, you may dump some things out of your cells and your body's not ready to get it out. So it'll just recirculate and then go back into the tissue.
So we're better off to cleanse the colon first and then do a liver cleanse?
That's the general rule.
And for doing a colon cleanse, what would you recommend?
Gosh, that's so different. I mean, if you just wanted to, it's hard because each person's so different. I mean, there's some cleanses that I do that are just general body cleanses that'll work on that. So it goes with the bowel first and then the different ones. There's a lot of different companies that I end up dealing with or using their products. If you just wanted something gentle just to start with, I mean, aloe vera is a good one, or magnesium, things like that if you're just trying to get your colon moving. But then there's other cleanses where you're really like, binding toxins and pulling them out of the colon and things like that. But I don't really have a shotgun advice for that as far as like, hey, yeah, everybody take this or anything.
What about diatomaceous earth?
That's a good one for getting rid of parasites and gently kind of cleaning out the colon. With that, you really want to start very small dose, like almost like 1/8 of a teaspoon and some water. And it's a food grade, make sure, because there are different types of diatomaceous earth. But you want to get the food grade and just start very lightly because it can be a little dehydrating. You want to make sure you drink a lot of water and just start light and then work your way up.
Cleanse the colon, will it also help to clean the liver?
The diatomaceous earth?
Yeah.
Not necessarily. It has a lot of minerals though. And it's a good cleaning out of the colon, but doesn't really work on the liver specifically, no.
So it's not like a full organ body cleanse?
No.
See, I didn't know that. I know some people who drink it faithfully every day, believing that this is something that's good for them and it's a full body cleanse.
Think about it. If you think about kind of like what we were talking about earlier with your digestive system being the root, if you're kind of keeping that cleaned out and you're already in a pretty clean state and clean living and clean eating, then you probably could say that would technically keep you, in a state of cleaning out.
Okay. So then, what about I know the yogi teas, they've got like various detoxing formulas. Are those any good?
Yeah, like there's like a bowel detox, I think, of those teas. Those are a good gentle approach. Like if somebody wanted to start with something real gentle and just see how their body did with it, that's a good idea.
So we should start, when we do a cleanse, we should start with the colon first, right?
Yes.
And then go on to the liver.
Right.
So and I believe that yogi tea also has a liver cleanse. I could be wrong on that. So now we were talking about like milk thistle and red raspberry and nettle helping with the liver, but what about to detox the liver?
Yeah, to detox the liver, there's like botanicals that regenerate the liver tissue, and there's ones that you would specifically say focus on detoxing. They all work kind of differently because, like if you think of yellow dock, for instance, it's a really good mineral source, good source of iron. It helps the skin and it also helps the liver. But it's a gentle, I would consider it a detoxification. But at the same time, it's nourishing.
I take yellow dock every day for the iron.
Yeah, exactly. It's a great source of iron.
Okay.
If you think about like the red raspberry, that's more of a real gentle cleansing effect, but more of also a nourishing one. So I'd say the yellow dock and the red raspberry are very nourishing. Milk thistle, you tend to think of more of a detox, but it's also regenerates liver cells.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, Colleen asks if people should only use glass and microwaves or not use microwaves at all.
Oh gosh, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of a microwave myself. So I don't want to necessarily take away everyone's microwaves, but I would definitely not use plastic or heat anything up in plastic in a microwave.
Well, I heard too that there was an experiment done where they had taken water and they heated it up in the microwave and they fed it to a plant. And that's what they continued to feed the plant. And then the other plant was taking water that wasn't put into a microwave. And the plant that was given the water that was put into a microwave died. And they did this to prove that microwaves actually kill the food. So
yeah, I believe definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. My daughter did away with her microwave, and then ours had died. And I was just kind of like, you know what? I don't care if we get another one. And my husband's like, you know, it's going back to like with the water bottles. It's convenient.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, it's fast.
We have one because my husband likes it, but I'm also not necessarily a fan of it. And I can't remember the last time I actually used the microwave. Like, it's been years. So I just don't even, I don't know. I don't even think about it. I forget we even have it.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to that point yet. You know, it's just like, it's a lot easier just to throw something in the microwave to heat it up rather than stick it in the pot. You know, I remember one time I had made some potato soup and I was like, oh, I'm going to do things right. I'm not going to kill my food and put it in the microwave. I'm going to put it in the pot and heat it up like that. And it's like, it came, you know, it was like boiling and stuff. And I thought it was done. It was still cold. It's like, well, I tried. But my daughter's gotten good to where she did away with her microwave. And even when she came to visit, you know, she had bought some frozen stuff, but she's, you know, she had some Amy's stuff that she bought. She stuck it all in the oven. She didn't use the microwave.
Yeah, probably what happens with me is we have 7 children, so we hardly ever have leftovers. So there's nothing to heat up in the microwave.
What are the age ranges of your kids?
My oldest is 20 and my youngest is 2. So I have a huge range.
Wow, you sure do. You
Yes.
busy girl.
I know. Well, my husband homeschools our kids.
Awesome.
And yeah, so that's been great. And the 2 oldest are at college and they're doing great. And so it's all been good. And I've really used only natural medicine on them their entire lives. And none of them have ever even had to have an antibiotic. So I think it's working good for them.
Now we use oil of oregano as far as, you know, our natural antibiotic. Is that what you use?
I definitely have used oil of oregano. Tea tree is another one that's a good antibacterial. Rosemary is another one that's a good antibacterial. You're right, the essential oils as the antibacterials. Now, sometimes it depends on how strong of a thing's going on. A lot of times if it's an acute thing, you'll want to treat the immune system. A lot of times I treat internally as well with, like colloidal silver or olive leaf or, I use homeopathic. So like belladonna, there's all different things that I use for, you know, just natural medicine as far as the acute stuff is concerned.
All right. Now, like I said, we use oil of oregano, and I have heard that it's actually more powerful than any antibiotic man has created. What's your opinion on that?
Oh, I've heard with oil of oregano that it actually, like a lot of cases of MRSA, which are antibiotic resistant, so they're finding that they can't treat it with antibiotics, have responded amazingly to the oil of oregano. So I agree. It's very powerful as an antibacterial.
Right, but the thing with oil of oregano, the problem with antibiotics is they kill that gut bacteria. And my understanding is that oil of oregano does the same thing, even though
not as much. I mean, I don't have people that I put on those kind of things for long, extended periods of time. It would only be, like I said, for a short period of time, and I haven't really found that it messes with the gut bacteria too much.
Okay. So would you still recommend doing probiotics during taking oil of oregano or after or both?
Yeah, usually in any kind of illness like that, I would say definitely do the probiotics anyways, just because it's going to boost your immune system of your gut.
Yeah, makes sense.
That would be one of the treatments to do during a time of illness like that.
Right. You mentioned a couple times during our conversation about homeopathic medicine. What makes that different from neuropathic medicine?
Well, homeopathic medicine is based on taking usually an herb, botanical, or a mineral, and you dilute it, and then you give it to treat. But it's based on a philosophy of, say, I I take a poison oak and I dilute it down, and then I actually give you that to treat your poison oak. So it's kind of almost like an immunization as far as the philosophy is concerned, but you're giving the thing that would cause the symptom in a higher dose to treat whatever's going on.
I never knew that.
So like belladonna is actually toxic in a large dose, but when you dilute it down, it treats bacteria, it treats ear infection, it treats fevers, it treats all kinds of things in a very minuscule dose.
Speaking of herbs, are you familiar with comfrey at all?
Yes, I love comfrey. I've used it for all kinds of things. Definitely wound healing. It's works phenomenally. Broken bones even. It'll work. I actually had a personal healing with comfrey. One time I sprained my ankle really badly and I was supposed to be in a wedding the next day, and I was just like, oh no, what am I going to do? So I was like praying about it, and I went and I got the comfrey and put it on my ankle, and I was miraculously healed. I seriously could jump on it the next morning, and I was in the wedding. And then like my husband was like, I don't even believe you. You must have not sprained it that bad. So like 2 weeks later, he did the same exact thing, and I put it on him, and it healed him too.
Now, I know there's been a lot of controversy about whether or not to take it internally. I've heard herbalists say no, but I also watched a video recently, and they were saying there are various herbalists on there, and they were saying that they use it internally, and they've actually found it to heal discs in the backs. I'm trying to think. There's one herbalist, and you might know her name, and for some reason it's not coming to me. The only name that's coming to me is Susan Weed right now, and that's not who it is. Gladstar, Rosemary Gladstar.
Oh yeah, definitely.
She was on the video, and she had said she was in some kind of accident to where both of her legs were pretty messed up, and the one leg, the bone was messed up, and the doctors were just going, I don't know about this leg, it's never going to be the same. And she was actually using comfrey internally, and said that, her leg, they were explaining to the various ways to comfrey internally to other people and about all the benefits it actually has. Have you heard that, or have you used it internally?
I have in my practice. I think a lot of the old school doctors were using it more internally. And I mean, I think it's phenomenal for that type of healing, and really there's nothing out there that I know that would match it as far as that. So I think it's safe, but it definitely needs to be done with supervision and, just in the correct dosages.
Caution. Now, is there anybody that shouldn't use comfrey? Like, if they have high blood pressure, if they're pregnant, nursing?
Yeah, I haven't, pregnant and nursing, basically most herbs are on the list of don't really use. There are a list of ones that are fine to use, but the ones that I would say really red flag, golden seal, definitely can't use pregnant. And you would put comfrey on that list to be conservative, and there's a lot of them that are on the list of, to be on the safe side. They don't really want anybody using hardly any herbs when you're pregnant or nursing. However, things like the red raspberry and nettles I was telling you about is excellent for pregnancy. Ginger is excellent for pregnancy for like preventing, helping with the nausea and things like that. Peppermint tea, a lot of the teas and things that are just like foods are going to be fine. I've
heard too that, fenugreek is good for women when they're pregnant.
Yes.
Or just when they're lactating. I know it helps with producing
lactating, sure. There's a few things that'll help that are herbs that'll help the milk, give you a big milk supply. And there's actually an herb sage, just the garden herb, that will actually help dry up the milk if you're wanting to do that, if you've weaned or whatever and you're trying to dry up the milk quickly without pain. And then fenugreek's one, even certain things in your food too, oatmeal, soy, non-GMO, is good for making your milk increase.
All right. Okay, so let's see. We're going to be taking a break soon. Let's talk. One thing we didn't talk about is you are a midwife.
Yes. I'm not practicing right now. I practiced for about 12 years and delivered lots of babies, and it's something that I loved to do. I'm kind of glad that I'm not, just because it's just I have a different thing going on in my life right now and a very full practice, but I enjoyed when I did it, and it's a beautiful thing to be at somebody's birth, and I really, I personally had my babies home births, and I love the, natural childbirth, option.
I wish I would have done that. I did with my first one, I did take something just to ease the contractions, which really didn't do squat. So for the next one, I was like, no, forget it. I don't want anything. But my water broke and I wasn't dilating, so they went and gave me something. But with my last one, I was blessed and didn't have anything. And the nurse kept asking me, are you sure you don't want something? Are you sure you don't want something? And I was kind of like, yeah, I kind of want to hit you right now. Leave me alone. I pretty much when I'm in pain, just leave me alone.
Yes,
let me deal with it. I'm good. But
it's something that can be very beautiful, and just being fully present, and you feel so good afterwards too. You probably noticed that when you had the natural birth.
Oh yeah, with my last one, I was like, can I go home now? It's like, okay, I came here, he's fine, I'm fine, can I go? And they were like, no, you have to stay 24 hours. Well, I kept bugging them so much that they let me go before the 24 hours.
Yeah, well, you actually get those natural endorphins. If you don't have the medicine, your body's able to release those natural endorphins. So you actually afterwards, you feel like $1 million.
Yeah, and he was the endorphins, huh?
Sorry, I lost you for a second. I didn't hear you, but, that was probably exactly what it was.
That's what gave me all that energy when I went home, was those endorphins. Huh, I didn't know that. Now, I think there's something that they did give me after I had him, which I had with the other two, and it made me cold, it made me shake.
Oh, yeah.
And I really didn't like that, because I remember when I had gotten the doctor bill from my last child, I was showing these drugs on there. And I'm like, what is this? I didn't have any of this stuff. And they were like, it was like, oh yeah, after the end, and it had something to do with hormones. But
yeah.
I didn't like it. It gave me a really, really bad feeling. But
right.
Okay, so we've got about 4 minutes before we have to take a break. Cammy, do you want to give them your contact information? If anybody, do you do consultations over the phone?
Yes, I can do those. My contact information, you can call, which is 985-867-9933, or you can go on the website, and you can actually make appointments on the website, and it's natural, like NATURAL, family care, CARE.com. And then an email, if y'all just have a question, you want to email me. I do get a lot of emails, so it might take me a bit to get back, but it's drkami77@yahoo.com.
Let me just read that back to you. I'm typing it up in the chat.
Okay, great.
Use DRKIMI.
No, it's my name. It's DRKAMI.
Dr. Cammy.
Yes, 77@yahoo.com.
I thought you said KI.
Oh.
Okay.
Transposing letters.
Okay. All right, good. All right. I think we'll go ahead and take a break. You're listening to It's Your Life, Live It to the Fullest. I'm your host, Joyce Wheeler. Dr. Cammy Dehler is with me. Today is Friday, June 3rd, 2016. You listen to Will Spirit Radio, Haggy Shack Radio. Please remember we're a listener-sponsored station, so click that donate button and show us some love. We'll be right back after this music break.
And you are back.
Thank you. Welcome back. I am here today with my guest, Cammy Dehler. Cammy, are you back with us? Hello, Cammy?
I may have lost her.
Hello?
I may have lost her, Joyce, so I'm going to try to get her back.
Okay.
Because she's not showing.
Yeah, I didn't see her either, and I just thought, well, maybe that's just how it is.
I'm trying to call her back, folks, and bring her back in on the call. And it looks like it's doing something, but she's not answered yet.
Hi. Can you hear me?
I hear
Yep.
you.
Okay.
Okay, Cammy, welcome back. Okay, this part of the show, let's discuss essential oils, because that's something else that you deal with, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about, considering it's summertime, let's talk about some essential oils that are good for summer, like what we could use externally, internally, and how we should use those.
Yes. Okay.
So let's talk about cooling things to help keep us cool in the summertime.
Okay. Sounds good. There's certain oils that you can put on topically, and there's, ones that you can ingest. Ingesting oils, I do use a certain company that I trust the quality and the purity. And so those are the only ones I really recommend as far as ingesting. And that is Young Living, is the name of the company. But one of the ones that you can use either externally or internally for cooling is peppermint. Peppermint is one that you can even use it if you have a fever to actually, in a child or in an adult, to actually bring down a fever. It's very powerful as far as cooling the body. So
Yes,
keeping the body cool.
I just want to say that we have used it for bringing down fevers, and it works.
Yeah, it's amazing. Peppermint is also very good for allergies. It's very good for digestive problems. Now, peppermint is not one that you want to put directly on your skin. Usually it's considered a hot oil, so typically you want to use a carrier oil like a coconut oil or an almond oil or a olive oil to use to put one drop. With essential oils, you don't need a whole lot, so because they're very concentrated, and so usually you only need a very small amount. I usually do lemon drop in my water every morning, and I love it. It keeps your body alkaline. It keeps, which an alkaline system is a very good thing. It's preventative for cancer, and they say really no disease can live in your body if your body's alkaline. So lemon essential oil ingested is very good for alkalizing the body and also for keeping the liver healthy. And it was one of those, it's an easy, gentle thing that you can do. A lot of people will just squeeze lemon into their water, just buy a lemon from the store and squeeze it into their water. I prefer the oil, it's a little more powerful, and then even the way it tastes, it's kind of less soury than the lemon. Another thing, actually an easy trick you can do, and people kind of naturally do this, is cucumbers in water. You just slice cucumbers and put them in water and drink cucumber water, and that'll actually cool down your body core. And also people eat watermelon too. That kind of brings down the body temperature a little bit. So it's funny how we do these natural things in the summer, these good things that grow, and it can keep our body's core temperatures down. So those are some of the things I would recommend for cooling off.
Now, so my research, when I had researched cooling foods, it's basically any fruit or vegetable, anything that contains a lot of water will go ahead and cool down your body.
Right.
Okay. Now
yeah, you can tell a significant difference, but those ones actually will also, there's a lot of potassium, and so those actually work with your electrolyte balance in your body as well.
Now, you were talking about combining the peppermint oil with the carrier oil. So
Yes.
It's like how much oil would you use and how many drops of peppermint oil would you use?
Yeah,
like
usually I would use, say you do depends on how much you were putting on. If you were just rubbing it on your stomach or something, you'd probably want to do 1/4 of a teaspoon of oil to literally only 1 drop of peppermint oil.
Okay, now I've been told putting it on the back of your neck is good. That really helps to cool down.
That would be excellent for cooling down your body, yes.
Is there any other place on the body where we're going to want to put this to help cool it down?
That would probably be the best, like you said, the back of the neck.
Okay.
If you're using it for more of a sinus or allergy thing, you would want to put it on the temples, but again, you want to make sure that you would dilute it with another type of oil.
Okay, now how about essential oil for pests, for like mosquitoes, ants, those kind of things that in the summertime are more abundant, and we really don't want them around us. What can we do about them?
Yeah, one of the big popular essential oils for that kind of thing is citronella. And, that's why they put it in a lot of the products that you use to get the mosquitoes away. And so citronella is a very big one. And you can diffuse it in your environment, and that'll keep the mosquitoes away. Or you can make like a topical lotion with it. Another one that actually does that people don't think about is actually sage essential oil. That's another one that can keep the pests off of you. Lemongrass is another one. There's quite a few actually that will work to not only keep the pests away, but also you can use them if you actually get like a bug bite or a mosquito bite. Lavender is an excellent oil that actually, if you get a mosquito bite, you just put the lavender on there and it usually will take any kind of swelling right away and take away the itch and everything. So it's really nice.
Okay, so if we were going to use, say for instance, the lemongrass, do we need to use a carrier oil with these other essential oils that you were talking about?
Yeah, usually it's going to go farther too, especially if you're using it as like a mosquito repellent. You just want to put a few drops in some lotion or a way, to get it all over your body. So it's going to take like a couple drops and, enough lotion to put on your entire body.
Okay. So, what about pests on our pets? You got the ticks. And
yes. Pests on the pets is a tough one. I have experimented a lot with that. The ones that I found that work the best, and the thing about that is you do have to apply it every day. So it's not something that, you can just just forget about and it's going to last for weeks or anything. You pretty much have to put it on every day. But my favorite one for keeping fleas and that off of your pests is cedarwood. And lemongrass actually does too. So cedarwood and lemongrass are two good ones for that. Now your pet's also going to smell like the oils, which isn't bad. It's a good thing. But the pet also will notice that, these oils are being put on them. So they'll get used to it. So if they act kind of strange at first, typically what I've found is it kind of calms them down because they're also oils that kind of de-stress them a little bit. So it'll calm them down, and then it'll also help prevent the fleas and things from getting on them. Another one that I like with pets is the lavender, and that's really for calming them down too as well.
So with the ones to keep away the pests, how would we use them? Do we have to use a carrier oil with them? And
usually with a pet, I would just dump it straight into your hand and then just like rub it all over their skin.
Okay, so there's not necessarily any place in particular, like the ears or,
kind of have to rub it all over their body. But, yeah, put it in near their ears underneath, but you kind of do have to put it all over their body. And, this would be a pet that you've already, because it's not necessarily going to kill the fleas, but it would get the fleas to maybe move out eventually. But it'd be nice to start with a pet that was already had the fleas off of them, and then you're doing it as a preventative so that no fleas are jumping on them.
Right. So like at the beginning of the summer when it first starts getting warm, when we know these things are coming around, we should just go ahead and put them on our pets.
Yes.
So, obviously dogs and cats the same way, or cat because it's smaller. Does the size of the animal?
Yeah, cats are hard because they just so they don't like you doing stuff to them, usually, But, what I do sometimes with my cats is I would just because their thing is, it depends on your cat. I mean, if you have a cat that's going to sit there while you rub them down with essential oils, then, you have that kind of cat. But, my cat, I just have to dump a few things on his back real quick as it's running away. So, it kind of depends. Yeah. But the cats are hard because it's not going to, again, if you're going to do the essential oils, you'd want to do ones that could be ingested because the cats also will lick them off, whereas the dogs aren't going to do that as much.
Right, I was going to ask about that too.
The other thing you can do though is the diatomaceous earth. If you put a little bit of that in their food, and you can get them to eat it, that'll also help the whole flea situation.
Right. Now, a lot of people don't understand that all essential oils aren't equal, and some people think, you go into a store and in the candle section they sell these essential oils. That is not the same, is it?
Yeah, a lot of the essential oils are synthetic, and so they're not getting they're putting extra fillers and extra things in with them, and you're not getting the same medicinal benefits. So one of the reasons why I mentioned the company Young Living is because they have a standard where they don't buy, they grow their own herbs. They only buy the property if it's been 50 years without pesticides, and they can certify that. And so they're growing completely organic products, and they have what's called a seed to seal promise where they grow the seed. They check each seed for its medicinal purposes. Like if it looks pretty and everything else, they don't necessarily go for that one. They go for the one with the most medicinal quality. And so then they take it through the process where the founder of the company built these specific distilleries to get the oils out of the plant, and then they seal it up. So it's like they know exactly where it was grown, where it came from, and then they stamp it so that they even show you which ones you're able to ingest and which ones you can't and all that. So, it's just one of the ones that you're getting the good quality stuff. And like their lavender, if you smell the lavender, you can tell just the difference. And this lavender that they have actually came from France. And when the France actually lost their lavender crop, like the original seed came from France, and France's entire lavender crop was wiped out by pests, and they actually kept the original seed that they still use today. So it's like we have that awesome French lavender that, in the essential oils that's now not even available over there. So it's amazing.
Okay, so what else do we want to talk about with essential oils?
Well, essential oils I really love because I just like the whole nurturing aspect, but at the same time they're healing you. So the thing is, you're getting that, that good smells and good feel in your house. You can use them to purify the house. The peppermint we talked about earlier. If you diffuse that in the house, it's so nice because it'll give it that crisp, clean, even if your house isn't even that clean, at least it makes it feel like it is. So it's kind of nice. And there's one called Purification that they have that's really good at getting any kind of odors out of the home, pet odors, cleans up even VOCs and chemical smells and things like that. So that's great. Also, they just have so many great uses for if you're using them on kids, because it's easy, because it's something where you can just be like, hey, I can just rub this on your foot, or, put it in your room and have you smelling it instead of having them try to take a pill or do these different things. It's just, I find so many different uses for them. And, there's this other one that maybe people have heard about, but it's called Thieves. And the reason they named this one is because during the bubonic plague, these group of perfumers, they were called, but basically men who dealt in herbs, were going around, and they were thieves. They were stealing the goods off of people that had died of the plague. But the thing is, they weren't getting sick. So the king summoned them and said, what's going on? How come you guys, aren't getting sick? They basically said, we put together a formula. We wear it on a scarf around our face when we go around and do this. And he said, hey, I want that formula. If you give me that formula, you won't, be executed for your crimes. So they passed over their formula, and then he promptly had them executed. which wasn't very nice. But anyway, so we have this formula now, and I have a personal testimony about that too. I was actually stuck in the van with my whole family driving across, and I wouldn't say stuck, it was an awesome vacation, but the reason I was stuck is because they all ended up with a stomach virus. And we're driving across the country for 8 days, stuck in this car, for 8 hours a day, and I was like, I can't get sick, so I was driving, and I had a tiny bit of that with me, and so I rubbed it all over my chest while I was driving, and I got home, I never got sick being stuck in there with that, and everybody in the whole all 7 of them went down. But I ended up totally fine, and I've used it ever since for just protecting you. You use it for colds and flus, and just, it's a big antibacterial. You can use it in your cleaning products. That's another thing is using all this stuff in cleaning is amazing because you're getting the antibacterial effects and you're breathing it in, plus it makes everything smell good. So. All
right, before we get into that, because I do want to talk a little bit more about that, let's go back to the diffusing. Now, when you diffuse essential oils, you should not use candle, should you?
No, the heat aspect kind of does things, and it's better to diffuse it from a water point where it's like the actual oils getting into the air and you can breathe it in, and it's not destroying the medicinal properties. And definitely better, if you're making a pure, I'm not that versed on candle making or anything. I mean, if you're making like a pure beeswax candle or something, I would still say the beeswax itself would be better to inhale than any kind of essential oil, because you're just changing the whole property, and it's not going to be the same.
Right, exactly. So now, what are some of the best essential oils? I know you mentioned some of them, but what are the best essential oils? Let's say for cleansing the air, because we know that the air inside the house is more toxic than the air outside. So what are some oils that would be good to use to clean the environment? Let's say somebody's, really sick, they have the flu or something. What do we want to diffuse so that the rest of the house doesn't get sick?
Right. So that would be a good one. The one I mentioned, Thieves, and also one called Purification. From that particular company, those are special blends. If you have some just straight blends, one that's really good for cleaning the air and also helping you focus and also actually helping you with allergies, so completely cleaning up your allergies, is doing peppermint, lemon, and lavender together. And that component is known as an allergy balm, and that'll clean up the room and also clean up in your sinuses and help prevent allergies at the same time. If you're just trying to keep it so everybody's getting sick, I would do the antibacterial type formulas.
So how many drops of each one of those would you put into the diffuser?
Usually like 1 or 2, or just like 2 drops of each.
Really?
Yes. You don't need a whole lot. And then it'll last for the time that usually, there's different types of diffusers, but some of them will go like 4 hours, some of them will go like 8 hours.
So, I was just going to talk about that. Let's talk about the different types of diffusers that, I know that there's some that you can actually plug into the outlet.
Yeah, again, that's going to do more of a heat source of the oil. So you're not going to get the same medicinal quality or properties, and it's not going to be very lasting. Whereas the ones that use the water and put it into the air that way are going to be more effective, and that's something you're going to be breathing in, and it's going to be going into, in through your limbic system and in through your respiratory system. Now, the other thing that's interesting is you can use these great also for stress or for shifting the emotions or for relaxation. They're very potent for the emotional system, because our limbic system, which is our emotional system basically, is connected with our olfactory system. So if you think about it, like when you were a kid and you went to, grandma's or whatever, and then all of a sudden you're like in an environment several years later, 20 years later and you have all of a sudden this smell comes to you and you're like, hey, grandma's house, it's like, it's completely our emotions are tied in with those smells. So what happens is they have the ability really to shift you into certain and out of certain emotions. So that's a kind of neat use of the essential oils as well.
Okay. Now, there was something that I want to talk about with the essential oils. Oh, you were talking about the cleaning. Let's talk about, now I know you can use like orange, you can use like lemon. Can you give us some recipes to where we can I know they make great degreasers.
Yeah, well, those two you mentioned are probably the most popular with cleaning products, and also, another one would be tea tree. As far as its antibacterial, astringent, degreasing properties. I mean, with the degreaser, you're still going to probably need to put a soap base in there. So if you're making your own, a lot of times I do I either do an enzyme based cleaner and then I add the essential oils to it, or I'll just do a soap based, where I use my favorite, whatever it is, and then add the essential oils to it. And usually with that, you're going to need, if you're doing say a spray bottle or that size, I don't know what size, or a water bottle type size, I guess, or a little bit bigger. You're probably going to do more like 5 drops of each of the oils that you're using, but then you can that lasts, and so you can just keep using that same bottle until the bottle's gone.
Now, I've heard people use it that it makes a wonderful degreaser for the ovens, countertops.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I'm thinking, was it somebody else mentioned, I was having a conversation with somebody else earlier, and they were saying that somebody that they know does not use any laundry detergent. They actually use alkaline water and essential oils. Have you heard about that?
Wow, no, I have not tried that. I definitely use essential oils with my laundry, but I've throughout the years I've done all kinds of different things with laundry, including making my own laundry soaps and different things. So I've kind of just put together my own little formulas here and there. But I haven't tried that. Yeah, I haven't tried the alkaline. Do they have alkaline water? Just how do they do that? Hooked up to their whole house system or something, or how are they?
That's what I was kind of wondering too, is how is this person doing this?
I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, being able to use alkaline water, are they taking it and just pouring it into the washing machine? But
maybe. I bet you they are doing that, because there's they probably are doing it that way. There's a lot of people out there now that are drinking alkaline water.
Right.
There's different systems that, are out there that, that will run it across plates and create an alkaline water. So it's kind of like that same thing I was telling you earlier about how the lemon will alkalize your body. The alkaline water will alkalize your body and prevent cancers and things like that from growing.
So what is your take on these alkaline contraptions?
I'm a believer, because I see a lot of patients that use it and they just have amazing results. So I think that there's some definite credibility to it, and especially like we were talking about earlier, about the water, the available water out there. I think there's just a lot of things that are put into the water, and then also, so it's a matter of purifying your water to begin with, and then alkalizing it is another step.
Right. Okay, so let's see, where else can we go with the essential oils? So what other kinds of products things do you use essential oils for in your home?
Yeah, I pretty much end up using them almost daily. A lot of times, if any of my kids have any kind of little stomach cramp, or if I have a headache, I've found an amazing use of essential oils with any kind of headaches or migraine, even headaches. I've used them as bacterial when a kid's got like an infection or something, I've used them. I use them a lot if they, just to prevent any kind of sickness. And then, and one of my favorites that I haven't talked about is actually frankincense. And it's just an amazing oil where they're having all kinds of results of it reversing DNA and reversing scar tissue and, reversing DNA damage. So even in like cancers and things like that. And, the cool thing about frankincense is, the frankincense tree itself. They're hundreds and hundreds of years old, and they actually have to go to another country in Saudi Arabia to tap it out of the tree. But the awesome thing about it is you do like a swipe of the bark of the tree, and then you get this oil. Well, it'll actually heal over. So if you go up to the tree, you can see from years in the past, it'll have like black, looking spots, and you wipe it off and it's brand new bark underneath. So the tree itself actually is always regenerating and giving out new oil.
Right. Yeah. I've heard that. I think that's pretty amazing about that. I've also heard the same thing about, cork. That cork will do that too. It'll heal itself. I had a gentleman who he made all kinds of cork products, purses, umbrellas, watches, shoes. I mean, it was amazing to see. And he advertised in the magazine last holiday season, and he just had all his cork products, and he had information on his website about cork, and that was one of the things that he
amazing. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I didn't either, but I thought that was amazing because, I really, let's keep our planet the way it is as much as we possibly can and, not deplete resources.
Even knowing that kind of stuff exists is just phenomenal, and, it just should be more abundant.
Well, and not only that, but it should be something we should all be more educated on. We're just not educated a lot on, the plants that we're surrounded by.
Yeah, I just learned something from that. I didn't know that about cork.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty amazing. I didn't know that about frankincense. Then I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, I did hear that. So it's just, nice to know that we can go ahead and utilize some of these plants and we're not hurting them. We're not depleting them. It's like, the white sage is being watched on the endangered list because it's just being used so much. So I think, we need to be aware of what we're taking in, but even more so, what are we giving back? What are we putting back? So,
yep, sure.
You were talking about the oils that you use like every day. In what amounts are you using this? How are you using them? Topically, internally, and what's the protocol?
Yeah, pretty much all those ways. I diffuse a lot of oils in the house, and it's a nice, peaceful environment. If you're going into your room at night just to have something going for de-stressing, and so I do a lot of that, and then or helping you with sleep. And then really just it's also, whatever kid problem the kid's coming to me with at the moment as far as like, what oil am I going to pull out? And my girls love all of them because they love the way they smell, and then also just for healing, and so they're kind of used to it, and they're just getting little whatever, a bug bite here or something there, simple things, but things that there's something that you can do that's natural that's going to work with their body instead of, add to the chemical load.
Right. I know I have gotten my 17-year-old to where, and even my 19-year-old, they'll come to me and they'll be like, what do you got for this? What do you got for that? My 17-year-old moved his arm wrong or something, and he had pain in there, and I was like, well, pain is a sign of inflammation. I said, so, here, take some turmeric. Let's bring that inflammation down. And that's the thing too, is that we are so uneducated about our own bodies. We do not know how they function. When I found out about the pH levels And at one point, I was a 5.0, my pH level.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, this is amazing. I don't ever remember when I was going to regular physicians, them saying, oh, let's check your pH level. Or how's that gut bacteria doing? You know?
Yes. Yeah, I think we've just gotten pretty disconnected from, like you said, just the care of the body and nature itself.
Right. You know, and I just, since we changed our lifestyle, which has been for about 3 years now, just educating myself on everything that I can about the body and how the body works and how to just maintain it, keep in the way it's working naturally rather than bombarding it with these pharmaceutical drugs that all they do is mess the problems and also hinder us from absorbing certain vitamins and nutrients and cutting off endorphins, neurotransmitters. And it's just like, wow, that just really wreaks havoc on the body. You know,
sure.
It's not a real solution. You know, it's like you talked at the beginning of the show. You know, what you do is you're looking at the whole body, you're looking at the whole person, trying to figure out what is the problem. You know, not just going, oh, you know, you have a headache here, take some ibuprofen. Well, you know, I still have a headache, but the ibuprofen is just turning out the chemicals in my brain that's telling me I'm in pain.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, definitely. It's usually if there's a warning, there's some reason, you know, that it's happening. And I always tell people too, if you have a pile of garbage and you have flies all swarming all over it, don't just keep dumping fly killer on the flies. Just go ahead and clean up the garbage.
Right. Exactly. So, as far as I was going to say, you know, the other thing too is people don't tend to listen to their bodies. You know, it's our bodies will speak to us if we'll only listen to them. And,
right.
You know, it's like we're talking about, you know, you have a headache or like with my son, you know, he's saying that his arm hurts when he's like, well, it only hurts when I do certain things. And I'm like, well, still pain is a sign of inflammation. It's
Right.
telling you that there's something wrong. So let's get rid of the inflammation and then the pain will go away. But, anyway, so back to essential oils. So now I know that you can kind of like make a homemade.
Seems we've lost Joyce again.
Hello?
Hello? Who have I got?
I guess. So she's still here.
Joyce is still here?
Yeah, I'm still here.
I wasn't hearing you. Your sound dropped.
Well, I'm still here.
Okay.
I'm showing Cammy still on the screen.
Yeah, I see you. Is Cammy? Did we lose Cammy again?
I think so.
Okay, let me try to bring her back in. That's just weird. Because your voice, you dropped out as well.
Huh.
She's showing she's off. Well, let's try. Yeah, she's showing she's disconnected or away or something. Because it's not letting me add her. Let's try it and see. Speedy-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. This is so much fun, not. She using a cell phone?
Yeah. Yeah, she got stuck in town, so she had no choice.
Yeah. And apparently wherever she's at's lost its signal.
Well, and she's not too far from me. I don't know exactly where, but we're in the same town.
Huh.
Because I was trying to get her to come over, you know, I was like, well, why don't you just come over here and we could do the show from here? But I guess she was with a friend who was having some emotional issues.
Oh. Okay. Well, if you want to keep talking, I'll keep trying to bring her on. Otherwise, we're just going to sit here and bitch about the internet. Well, this part of us will.
Oh. I just texted her and I haven't heard back from her. She hasn't said anything. Let me see.
Yeah, like I said, it could be she just doesn't have a signal right now.
Yeah, I'm asking her if she's still there. Let's see what she says.
Or her battery died, or
Oh.
who knows?
Yeah, that would really stink.
Yeah, well, I would say suck, but okay.
Okay, wait. She said it's storming. She lost connection. No, we're in the same town. It's not storming here.
Well, you all down south, I'm telling you, you have weird storms. As I know, when I lived in Florida, it might be pouring rain in the front yard and not a drop in the back.
Well, you know, I've had that happen when I lived in Chicago, though, too.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
She said it's working.
Okay. Well, as soon as I'll keep an eye on her, her little thingy here on Skype, because right now it's showing that she's away. So as soon as she comes back on, I can bring her in. But in the meantime,
Yeah.
what do you want to talk about?
Yeah, that's the thing. What am I going to talk about? She knows more about the essential oils than I do.
Right.
I mean, I know some, but her Skype connection isn't working. Oh, snap. Okay.
Well, so what do you want to do?
I'm thinking. I wasn't expecting this.
Well, of course not. You don't expect this. Well, you don't want to expect this sort of thing.
Right.
But after all,
Right.
it is the internet and it is Skype, so and the connection has been weird today, even though my system is showing my connection's very, very strong. I've still had some drops. So.
Okay, let me do this. Let me grab my book on essential oils.
Okay. I have one here somewhere too. Somewhere. Probably clear on the other side of the room.
I've got mine right here. So let me see. Because I wanted her to talk about a first aid thing. So let me see if this book has.
Oh, you mean like a kit for a first aid herbals?
Yeah. Well, there's a basic care kit. There's also a basic travel kit. Those are first aid. All right. Let me see. Let me get to the page real quick. It's been a while since I've opened up this book. Okay, you still there?
I am.
Okay. Am I still on the air?
You are.
Okay. All right. So for a basic care kit, you can use lavender, tea tree, peppermint, chamomile, eucalyptus, geranium, rosemary, thyme, lemon, and clove. And the lavender is capable of many important jobs, and it's very, very nice to use, very soothing, great smell. So that's one thing that you want to keep on hand is that lavender oil. And I know, like, my daughter has anxiety and panic attacks. And one thing you can do, like, if you feel anxious or panicky, you can just go ahead and smell it. Or else you can go ahead and maybe put a few drops, like on a handkerchief if you have one, or a piece of clothing, and just, go ahead and smell it to get that scent. You can also, like, put it, along your collar so that you could just easily go ahead and smell it. So it helps with that. It also stimulates the immune system and contributes to the healing process of stimulating the cells of a wound to regenerate more quickly. Although it's not known specifically as a circulatory stimulant, lavender oil certainly seems to alleviate the effects of clinical shock and is a mood tonic and antidepressant. So it helps to heal with psychological shock of injury. It also has a multitude of other qualities which make it a truly indispensable oil. So another thing that you want to have in this basic care kit is tea tree, which is also known as melaleuca. And it has an antiseptic action, and it's thought to be 100 times more powerful than carbolic acid, and yet it is non-poisonous to humans. The Aborigines have been using this oil, the tea tree, in their medications for centuries, and today tea tree is the subject of a great deal of international research. Its impressive antiviral, antibacterial, and antifungal properties make it useful in a wide range of conditions. It is used in the treatment of candida and all sorts of infections for ringworm, sunburn, acne, athlete's feet, toothache, among other things. Now, again, with the tea tree oil, there are some oils that are fine to ingest and oils that are not. And it's talking about the toothache. So I'm thinking that you could probably go ahead and just rub it on the outside of wherever the tooth is hurting, because it will just go ahead and absorb into the skin. But again, I mean, that's something that's worth doing some research on to find out about the consumption. I know that Feather Wild is an herbalist, and she has been saying throughout this conversation that herbalists say not to ingest essential oils. But personally, we have ingested them. And I think, just like with herbs, it's a matter of being cautious. It's a matter of knowing the essential oil or the herb that you're ingesting, because certain herbs ingested can also be dangerous, just like certain essential oils can also be dangerous. And to know how to do them, like with essential oils, Dr. Cammy had mentioned using a drop of lemon in the water, but you could also use some of them in capsules with the carrier oil and take it like that to ingest it. So again, it's a matter of doing our homework, getting to know about these things and how we can use them to benefit our body to the utmost. And again, here's peppermint. Peppermint, one of my favorite essential oils that has been used by many ancient cultures, including the Egyptians, Chinese, and the Native Americans. No doubt because of its extremely useful health-promoting properties. It's an excellent digestive. It helps the respiratory system and circulation. It is anti-inflammatory and an antiseptic. These qualities make it a good oil in the treatment of indigestion, flatulation, bad breath, flu, varicose veins, headaches, migraines, skin irritations, rheumatism, toothache, fatigue. It even keeps mice, fleas, and ants away. Now, and that's one thing too I want to say as far as the peppermint oil. It will help to keep a lot of the bugs away. They don't seem to like it. I remember one day last summer, I went outside to mow, and even as the sun goes down here in Louisiana, it's still very hot and still very humid. So what I did is I used peppermint oil on myself for two different things. One, so that I would feel cool and I wouldn't feel all sweaty and hot, which it really helped. And the second was to keep the mosquitoes off of me. So what I did was I anointed the back of my neck, which is I took just a dab of oil, put it on my finger, rubbed it across the back of my neck to keep me cool. No, excuse me. And then I just, kind of put some here and there, like on places where I was sweating. I knew that the mosquitoes were prone to bite me on. I just kind of put it on those places to avoid, and it did work. So peppermint oil is really good. Chamomile. Now I know as far as the herb go, chamomile is known as a very gentle herb, and it's known as a children's herb because it's very good for calming them down and also for any kind of digestive issues, a stomach ache and things like that. But there are several types of chamomile essential oils. And chamomile German is an excellent variety, and its beautiful, deep, dark blue color due to its high esculin content comes as a bonus. Another excellent variety is chamomile Roman. It's particularly good for the treatment of nervous conditions and insomnia. So although chamomile is antibacterial, antiseptic, and disinfectant, it is more valued for its anti-inflammatory properties. These apply to internal conditions like rheumatism as well as to external inflammation. Chamomile is indispensable if you have children because it can be used for teething troubles and in the bath to ease nervous and teach knees. Okay. Chamomile is used for the treatment of burns, including sunburn, psoriasis, eczema, asthma, hay fever, diarrhea, sprains and strains, nausea, fever, and all nervous and depressive states. Its diuretic, sedative, and calming properties make chamomile an extremely desirable oil. For kicking the tranquilizer habit, it is invaluable. And in anorexic, it is extremely helpful. As if this wasn't enough, chamomile is used in rejuvenation treatments. Another one we should have in this basic care kit is eucalyptus. It has been distilled from at least 1788 when two doctors, John White and Dennis Costin, distilled eucalyptus for its use in treating chest problems and colic. This was in Australia, where the Blue Mountains of New South Wales are so called because of the extraordinary blue haze that it exudes from the resin of the eucalyptus gum and envelopes to the entire landscape. In such a powerful aromatic environment, the medicinal qualities of this ancient tree would be hard to miss. Eucalyptus is a marvelously versatile and useful oil. It cools the body in summer and protects it in winter. It is anti-inflammatory, antiseptic, antibiotic, diuretic, and deodorizing. Research has proved its antiviral properties as well. It is best known for its effectiveness against coughs and colds, but is equally effective in the treatment of candida, diabetes, and sunburn, while also being useful in veterinary care and as an insect repellent. These are a wide range of eucalyptus varieties, any one of which could be useful addition to a basic care kit. Now they're talking about like colds and coughs and allergies. And when we were talking about diffusing, I know another thing, they have these little pots, they're called neti pots. And it's like for your sinuses. And it's just enough, I don't know if people have seen them, but it's kind of like almost looks like a little teapot, a miniature teapot, but the spout is longer and it's thinner. And it's made so that you can go ahead and inhale. So you can always go ahead and use a neti pot with some water and, a few drops of essential oil. She's still not back, Colleen?
Oh.
There she is.
Yay.
Yay.
Sorry, man.
Not your fault.
Yeah, it's storming here pretty bad now.
No, it's funny because where I am, it's not.
That's weird.
It is because we're in the same town, so obviously different parts.
It's probably coming your way.
Yay. Well, while you were gone before we broke up, or before we got dropped, I was asking you about a first aid kit.
Oh, yeah, great.
But then what happened is we had to fill that time. So I have an essential oil book here and it has like a basic care kit. So I was reading a little bit about what they said about keeping like lavender, tea tree, peppermint, chamomile, and eucalyptus. And it also mentions, geranium. So tell us,
great. Yeah, it's funny because I heard Gary Young say one time that if he had one oil, and he's a founder of the company, of the Young Living company, he said if he had to choose one oil, he would choose lavender because it has the most like benefits and uses and things that you can use it for, which is pretty amazing. But I'm sorry, what was your question?
I was just going to say, in this basic care kit, one thing that they mentioned, I mean, we've got 6 minutes left. So if we could just go, well, why don't you tell us, do you have a first aid kit for essential oils and which essential oils?
Yeah, and that would actually be good. I don't know if there's any option of me maybe even putting something like that, like on the website or something, just putting together a little, suggestion kit. Since we're running out of time, something I could write down even just, kind of like the uses and why you would have this in your first aid kit.
So how many essential oils do you have in your first aid kit?
Me?
Yeah.
A lot. I don't know. At least 30 or more for sure.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you had to, limit it to, we got 5 minutes. Let's say you have to limit it to 3 essential oils for a first aid kit. What would they be and why?
3? Oh man.
You can only take 3.
Okay, I think I'm going to go with the lavender, lemon, and peppermint because the lavender has so many uses for the bug bites, infections, stress, the skin, allergies, all kinds of things. The lemon is the one that you can use for cleaning. It's an astringent. It helps. Helps the skin, helps acne. It helps heal the liver, alkalizes the body, and then the peppermint is the one we talked about for cooling the body, for allergies, for digestion. So if you had stomach cramps or a stomach ache or even constipation, it'll work on that. You rub a little bit on the lower colon, on your stomach area, and it'll actually even relieve that. So I'd probably choose those 3, and those are the 3 you can diffuse for allergies in the home and for cleaning in the home. So, if I had to say pick 3, that would be it.
Great. Excellent. Okay.
And I can give you a site if people wanted to go on and like look up some things and look more about the oils. The one that I have is, it's YL.PE, P as in Paul, E as in elephant, / it's kind of a weird one here, but it's 3, P as in Paul again, 57. And that'll take them to the direct link to my site.
Okay, that's Y, L like in Larry, period.
L as Larry, yeah.
Period, P as in Paul, E / 3, P as in Peter, 57.
Yes, that's it.
Okay. So, and that goes to
that goes to the Young Living website, so they can go on and check out some different things.
Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and, I'm talking with Dr. Cammy Dehler. And so if you could go ahead with Cammy and give them your contact information again, how they can reach you.
Sure. You go on the website, naturalfamilycare.com. And my phone number, which is 985-867-9933. And then the email, which is drkammy, DRKAMI 77 @yahoo.com.
At Yahoo. Oops. What happened here? Oh, there we go. Well, that was weird. I was typing it into the chat and somehow you said Yahoo, right?
Yes.
Okay. Excellent. All right.
Thanks for having me on today. That was great.
Well, thank you so much for being on. You've been listening to It's Your Life, Live It to the Fullest. I'm your host, Joyce Wheeler. Today is Friday, June 3rd, 2016. My host today has been Cammy Dehler, and she is a naturopathic doctor here in Louisiana. And thank you for listening. You've been listening to Will Spirit Radio, Haggy Shack Radio. Please remember we're listener sponsored, so click that donate button and show some love. And everybody have a good day. Dr. Cammy, thank you for being on the show.
Thank you. Have a blessed day. Bye.
You too. Bye.
You're listening to Wolf Spirit Radio.